That decisive action meant that that financial sector adjustment company had to help the banks remodel and liquidate. And that is how Jamaica was able to cope with the atrocities of what the Jamaica Labour Party did to us throughout the 1980s. So when you hear them speak about FinSac and they want the FinSac report, the FinSac report is no indictment on us. It is an indictment on the Jamaica Labour Party.
Bless up, baby, our family and viewers. Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl, Isabel Rose. And in this one, Andre Haughton, Shadow Minister on Economy and Commerce and Technology, responds to Andrew Holness's blaming FinSac era on the People's National Party, as well as Andrew Holness rolls out policy already in place from 2018 and stole a policy and plan from the People's National Party. Stay tuned for the details at hand. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Notification shout out goes to Nyrol Beadle. Big up yourself, Nyrol. Thanks for the continued support from each and every one. So in this first segment, more on the Prime Minister's budget presentation, where majority of it was blaming the People's National Party, and he went as far back as to the whole meltdown and blaming it on the People's National Party. And Andre Haughton of the People's National Party came out last night to debunk that lie and fully explain to the Jamaican people what caused the meltdown and what FinSac was really about, and that the Jamaica Labour Party played a massive role in it, hence the reason they are unable to release the full FinSac report.
Hurricane Gilbert came in 1988 and ravaged the country. In order to rebuild, to get the equipment that we need, to get the cheap energy that we need to rebuild, we had to leverage the IMF once more. At that time, Michael Manley came into power again, and he came in and inherited a country that was destroyed throughout the 80s by the Jamaica Labour Party. The IMF, having recognized that Jamaica needs this foreign currency desperately, imposed on us what we call the Washington Consensus. So you can go and research the Washington Consensus. It was a 10-point plan aimed at moving Jamaica out of a negative reserve position to putting Jamaica on a positive developmental growth path. Now, contained in the Washington Consensus was a clause to liberalize the foreign exchange market. And when I went to the fund, IMF, in 2017, I spoke to a couple of their lawyers at the time, and they themselves admitted fault to pressure in Jamaica to institute the Washington Consensus without the necessary controls. What ensued? Because they forced us to, instead of taking our time to liberalize the foreign exchange market so the exchange rate can move from, at the time it was 4 to 1, to 5 to 1, to 6 to 1. The currency moved from 6 to 1 in 1990 to 25 to 1 in 1992. By the time Manley settled into power. Which means that if you owe somebody $6 today, and tomorrow you owe them $24, 6 fours, 24. It means that the exchange rate moving from $6 to 1 to $25 to 1 saw every person's debt in foreign currency increase fourfold. So the major banks who borrowed in foreign currency, Eagle Bank, Central National Bank, Citizens Bank, these banks that borrowed heavily in foreign currency, found themselves, instead of having a debt of $6, now has a debt of $25, 4 times more. And that means the entire banking system was going to crash. The entire banking system, because of the debt imposed on us by the IMF, was about to crash. And what had to happen? the People's National Party had to take decisive action. And it was at that time when we decided that we need a commission to help the financial sector adjust to what happened due to the Washington Consensus. And that is when FinSAC was established. So FinSAC was established as the Financial Sector Adjustment Company to adjust the financial sector to the fact that the IMF imposed the Washington Consensus and push up the debt of our major banks. And in an economy, if your banks fail, all the economy fails. So we had to take decisive action. That decisive action meant that that financial sector adjustment company had to help the banks remodel and liquidate. And that is how Jamaica was able to cope with the atrocities of what the Jamaica Labour Party did to us throughout the 1980s. So when you hear them speak about FinSAC and they want the FinSAC report, the FinSAC report is no indictment on us. It is an indictment on the Jamaica Labour Party who pushed the country in the position that we found ourselves in by the early 1990s. And that is why, that is why they won't publish it. Because they know that they only can put a mirage in front of your face. That it is the People's National Party who, yes, instituted FinSAC. But why? The why has to come before what exactly was done. And that is why we cannot get the FinSAC report. Throughout the 90s, Percival James Pattison took over from Michael Manley. Because, as you know, circumstances. And Percival James Pattison was one of the best leaders we saw as it relates to infrastructural development, as it relates to breaking down monopolies and oligopolies that existed to stifle the growth of the average Jamaican. Black man time now was the slogan because he believed in the power of you. Not the power of a few rich people or the power of a few people, but the power of each and every Jamaican, where you are, how you are. He wanted you to have better, not just for yourselves, but for your children and your children's children. Over 17 schools he built up to now. Andrew Holness now build one. How dare he compare himself to the great one? How dare he? The highway from Portland to Westmoreland, also the highway from Kingston to St. Anne, envisioned, instituted the blueprint by Percival James Pattison.
And might I add, if it was really and truly solely the fault of the People's National Party, I think the Jamaica Labour Party wouldn't seize the opportunity to sink the People's National Party. Let's be realistic right here. So for the few that are in the comment section still blaming the People's National Party when we hear who is to be blamed, we even heard that the IMF had taken a part of that blame when they were the ones also increasing policies and stuff, creating an environment where if money was borrowed, one would have to pay 4 times the amount. When you hear everything right there, so for yourself. So I hope that puts the whole FinSAC to rest right now and the people can understand what happened. Also, we're seeing Andrew Holness announcing key updates to Certificate of Fitness and Motor Vehicle Registration process. New vehicles, first certificate of fitness valid for 5 years. Used vehicles 10 years or less, certificate valid for 3 years. Vehicles older than 10 years old, yearly renewal remains. But under the Road Traffic Act, that's already in place. What he rolled out already exists. And so I'm about to read out this for you. Under Jamaica's Road Traffic Act 2018, all motor vehicles, including used vehicles under 10 years old, are required to undergo annual fitness tests to ensure they meet safety and operational standards. This means that owners of used vehicles must have their vehicles inspected and obtain a certificate of fitness every year, regardless of the vehicle's age, unless the vehicle is new and within its initial 5-year exemption period. The Act specifies that a motor vehicle must not be driven on a road unless there is a valid certificate of fitness in force. This requirement applies universally to all vehicles, with the exemption of new vehicles which are exempt from fitness testing for first 5 years after their initial registration. Therefore, for used vehicles that are under 10 years old, owners are obligated to ensure that their vehicles pass a fitness test annually. This annual inspection is crucial for maintaining road safety and compliance with Jamaica's traffic regulation. So when we see him come and him a roll out now and I talk about vehicles, used vehicles 10 years or less, the certificate valid for 3 years, they're going to have to basically amend the laws to change the latter part of that policy where I'm coming now for say vehicles 10 years and under, certificate valid for 3 years, when they should have been doing a fitness every single year. So they're going to have to amend that law. And last but not least, we've seen him rolling out an idea for a child trust fund. And the results are in. And we have found that Andrew Holness is not the father of that proposal. This proposal goes all the way back to Basil White, a member of the People's National Party back in 2008. He called it the Child Opportunity Trust Fund. Wade's proposal is that the government would open an account in each child's name at birth and vest that account with a one-time amount of $5,000. He stated about 50,000 children are born in Jamaica each year, and this means that each year the government would set aside $250 million. Fast forward to 2022, Angela Brownberg proposed the very same child trust fund, asking the government to set it up, and they did not.
This account would then be financed by a contribution from parents, and in the case of the wards of the state, by the state, to the tune of about $100 Jamaican per day for 18 years. At the end of 18 years, each child would have access to those funds to purchase their education locally or set up a business. How wicked and uncaring can this government be, such that the first thought is about penalizing the parent? What about providing guidance and support to these youngsters? What about cushioning the crisis for them and their families and helping them lift their head above water? What agencies have been asked to intervene to deal with the specific circumstances? Madam Speaker, the financial position of many families is dire, and it cannot be taken lightly. The involvement of these youngsters in illicit activities cannot go unattended, and intervention is required. But that is long before we get to be talking about penal action.
But here we are in 2025, Andrew Holness coming to roll out that like it's his plan, when he got that from the People's National Party.
If an idea works, we will use it. But we are not without our own ideas. You can have great ideas. And if you have great ideas, I am a person that respects ideas. What I do, I give credit. But if you have a good idea, don't let it go to waste. Give it to me, let me implement it. I thought about using an analogy, but let me try to see if it works. I am the best baby father for ideas.
Talk up in the comment section, ABR family and viewers. Let me hear what I say on everything that was outlined in this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel on the road to 30K and beyond. Help me to get there. Every chance we get, we are go through little by little and we are debunk all the lies. We are debunk so the people them can see that this man, that this government does not deserve another term in our country. Stay tuned for more videos. Stay tuned for more updates. Big up on yourself.